All right, yo, and hello, everybody. It's Mike here, baseball collector, and we are getting ready to do our fifth episode of Beyond Cardboard. And this is a little pregame warm up. We've got a couple minutes till we get started with our guest tonight, and some amazing things are happening in baseball. Bartolo Colon, who is 6 months older than me, is throwing a perfect game against the Astros. So if I turn my head a lot and I'm looking over at my computer, it's because I'm kind of freaking out over. And Verlander's throwing great too. He's got 11 strikeouts. It's just an amazing game. It's going so fast. So the game is going fast anyway. So perfect through 7 for Bartolo Colon. And we'll kind of see how that unfolds as we go along here. If anybody wants to type in some updates if they're watching the game. It's on ESPN, so national television. So pretty cool. Looking forward to tonight. Looking forward to my guest as a preview. I think next week is Mike O, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be fun. As we go along again tonight, like normal, ask questions that you want to know from our guests. Type them up. I'll be trying to write them down. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing, and we will make sure we do all that. I'm kind of paying attention to the chat as much as I can, but I got to pay attention to my guests because they're the ones that we're talking to. So we got people from all over the globe on. So I'm still checking out the game. The only run tonight for the Rangers game was a home run by our catcher that's hitting like 180 or 170. So okay, that's baseball, right? Hope everybody had a great weekend. It's Sunday night, which is great. I think there's a season finale for The Walking Dead is tonight, so I'm competing with that. What are you gonna do? It is what it is. So I keep looking over because I want to check what's going on in this game, but be amazing if a 44-year-old pitcher throws a perfect game. But it is 9 o'clock, and that's when I said I was going to start this episode of Beyond Cardboard. So that's what we're going to do. So welcome, everybody. Hold on. I better turn off my stupid the CBS Sports is doing a commercial, so I don't want to do that. Colon's pitching for the Rangers, man, which is unbelievable, the ageless wonder. So all right, here we go. Tonight, my guest is a guy that has been on YouTube for a really long time. In fact, he was a member of the inaugural class of the YouTube Hall of Fame. And he's from Long Island, New York. And it's Dave, who goes by Joezeppi1. Hey, Dave, how you doing?
What's going on, brother?
Not a lot. You doing okay tonight? Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, I can't complain.
Yeah?
Unfortunately, I had to go back to work today, but I was off last week. That's always nice.
Okay. Well, it's Sunday. Why'd you go back to work today?
Unfortunately, I'm one of them guys who works the weekend, has the days off in the middle of the week.
Gotcha. Well, you ready to get started with some questions? I've got questions. We'll do some cardboard questions. We'll do some beyond cardboard questions. We'll do some questions from the audience, and then we'll, of course, fill it out with rapid fire. So you good?
Let's do it.
All right. So tell everybody kind of how you got started collecting. How old were you, and what got you started?
All right, obviously, like every other kid in the 80s, I started collecting baseball cards. I was probably about around 6 years old when I first started seeing friends collecting baseball cards and buying packs. And, of course, I started asking my mom for, I think packs at the time were like 35, 40 cents. Started asking for a little change to get myself some packs. And I just fell in love with cards. I really did. And then around, I guess it was around 92, 93 was when not a single one of my friends was collecting cards. Nobody would talk about them. There was nobody to trade with or anything. So I kind of got out of it as well, too, and really didn't start getting back into collecting anything at all until I was in my early 20s. It was when I really started as an adult collecting sports memorabilia. Started off with autographs, signed balls, photos, things like that. And then eventually got into cards, and then obviously, you know my collection. I just went for everything and anything.
Yeah, you definitely have an eclectic collection. I think that's a common thing for a lot of collectors is that you have this early passion, you fall in love, and then some blackout period during late teens, early 20s, and then we have this rekindling of that passion from something. What kind of, first of all, let me show a picture of you because I bet this was about how old you were when you started collecting. Is this little guy right there? Look at you, man. You were way better looking.
Yeah,
Golly.
oh my God! Look at me. I had potential there. I don't know what the hell happened.
I don't either.
Yeah, I mean, I was a fairly decent looking kid, and my mom actually made that uniform from scratch. No joke. That whole uniform, she actually made that from scratch. And I think I was about 3 at the time, so that's a little before I started getting into cards. But that shows how young I was when I was, rooting for the Yankees. You know, in my family, you were born to be a Yankee fan. I mean, I remember in 1986 when the Mets won the World Series, and all the kids in my class were talking about the Mets, and I remember going home and telling my dad, you know, Dad, maybe I like the Mets, and oh my man, I'll tell you what, my whole family made me feel so bad. I was like, all right, I love the Yankees, and I've always since as far back as I can remember.
Yeah, you were screwed from the beginning, weren't you? You had no shot.
And
That's
you know
a
what, being
shame.
a Yankee fan in the 80s, that was no joke. That was some hard times. That was a big drought right there. You know, we had to hold on. And then when the mid 90s hit, all of a sudden it was like we had that explosion. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it. You have 27 championships. The Rangers have 0. So don't start with me.
Well, you guys got a perfect game going right now, so take it for what it's worth.
It's over. He walked Correa to lead off the
really?
8th. So perfect game is over. No hitter still intact. But
Sorry to hear that, brother.
yeah, it's all good. Well, now we can really just focus on you.
Okay. Well, now I only have The Walking Dead to compete with.
Yeah, that's right. That's why we're gonna probably have a lower than normal viewership, but that's all right. They'll watch it all later. Who kind of started you collecting? Was it just something you wanted to do, or what?
As an adult or as a child?
Maybe both.
I mean, like I said, honestly, as a kid, it was pretty much just my little group of friends. Most of the names I can't even remember, but seeing kids sitting in the side of the classroom, passing cards around, trading and stuff. I'm like, oh, that looks like fun, and so I started getting into it. And you know what really got me collecting as an adult too was these conversations I would have with friends as a little kid, talking about, imagine you had a Mickey Mantle card. Oh my God, that'd be worth like $1 million. This is the stuff we thought when we were little kids. And I remember just growing up thinking, one day, you know what, I'm going to own a Mickey Mantle card, and one day I'm going to own a Babe Ruth card. And I remember thinking that, and yeah, I own that and a lot more. And it's like a little kid, working on his dirt bike, wanting to get a Harley when he gets older, or just something in that capacity. It's like you have this little dream when you're a kid, and when you get old enough and you have the money, you fulfill that dream.
Yeah, for sure. Very cool. So obviously your favorite team is the Yankees. Who are your favorite players?
Well, I mean, my favorite as a kid was obviously Don Mattingly. Don Mattingly was, for my generation, he was our Mickey Mantle. He was that rock. And unfortunately, he happened to play during those down years. But I love Donnie, and it would do me and a lot of people so much good if he could get in the Hall someday. That would just put the biggest smile on my face and a lot of other fans. As I got older, obviously, it became Derek Jeter. I love Derek Jeter, and I'll tell you what. To be honest with you, ever since he retired, I just can't feel the same.
Really?
Well, yeah, you wouldn't think so. You'd think, hey, you just move on, but I guess, I remember, hearing older people talk about, like, when Mickey Mantle retired. And just, there was kind of that space, and even though we have, these great, we got, like, an Aaron Judge and stuff, guys like that, but it just, when Jeter retired, it just felt a little different. There was just something missing to me,
Right.
And I'm sure I'm not the only one who felt that way also.
Yeah, you and Joe's Silver Jackify love Donnie baseball. A lot of Yankees guys that are about your age and our age are huge Donnie baseball fans. I respect Jeter a lot. I mean, I hate the Yankees, but I respect Jeter. I respect Rivera, what they did. But by the way, he lost not only the perfect game, he just lost the no hitter, and it's second and third with no outs. So I don't know that he's even going to have a shutout much longer. So I'm glad I'm talking to you and not having to watch that and have my heart just go.
I'm glad I could pose a little distraction for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. A lot of people watch your channel and they kind of know what's going on with your collection. But for those that haven't checked you out, can you kind of explain your collecting focus and what you like to collect?
Well, my collection focus would be considered out of focus because my collection doesn't really have that much of a focus. Anybody who knows me, there are a lot of people who will just collect cards and maybe just collect cards from a certain era, like the 50s and 60s. Maybe guys just collect autographs, have a stack of ball cubes with baseballs. But I really just collect what I like, and I have so many different autographs from so many different eras. I have baseball cards aging from the 1880s all the way up to present. I have game used items like, for example, my Derek Jeter game worn batting glove. I have personally owned items that like a smoking pipe owned by Cy Young, an award that was given to Phil Rizzuto that I got from his estate.
Right.
Ted Williams personally owned watch, things like that. So I try to think outside the box because I really do like the oddball stuff that you just don't see every day.
Well, speaking of outside the box, boxing is something that you certainly have a niche in. Tell us how you got started in that. How did boxing get to be something that you loved and wanted to collect?
Well, boxing and actually getting out book of just the history of boxing and just sitting there in my living room reading through this book and reading about the old fighters, the Joe Lewises and the Rocky Marcianos and guys like that. And those are the baseball and boxing are the two sports I feel truly have the best history. And boxing is only a small portion of my collection, but just something I do love, and I truly appreciate the history. When I was a kid, actually, I loved boxing so much, I actually started a boxing club with a bunch of my friends. And we actually did this thing pretty legit. We actually had weight classes. We actually used to use my mother's oven timer. And we would do 3-minute rounds with 1-minute rest periods. And we would actually do a 15-round fight, just like they used to do back in the day. And we used to smash each other's faces up. My mom would get pissed at me, but we used to love it. I've always loved boxing. And unfortunately, boxing isn't today what it used to be. And I've obviously kind of tuned out of that over the years. But the history I've always loved.
Yeah, I boxed in college, and let me tell you, I did 3-minute rounds, and I was dying, and I was in great shape, best shape of my life, and I was absolutely dying at the end of 3-minute rounds of boxing. It killed me. But you just don't know. I just showed a picture of your dad, by the way. So you were talking about your dad. So I had a picture of you guys at Yankee Stadium. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I just saw you throw that up. Yeah, that was in the Yankee Stadium Museum, actually. You'll see it, in the picture, all the balls, all the autographed balls were behind us.
Yeah, that's a really cool display. I've seen it at Yankee Stadium. It's actually pretty impressive.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
So, speaking of Yankee Stadium, how many ballparks have you been to?
Major League ballparks, I've only been to 3. Obviously, I've been to Yankee Stadium. I've been to Citi Field because I have way too many friends that are Mets fans that'll drag me to Mets games. But Citi Field is awesome, and it's fun going there. And the only other one has been Citizens Bank.
Wow.
To see the Phillies. I saw my first live Phillies game in 2016.
Did you go
so
to?
That was a treat.
Did you go to the old Yankees and Shea?
Shea I never went to, ironically enough. I never went to Shea, but the old Yankee Stadium I had been to a million times. And I got to be 100% honest with you. As much as, the new stadium is beautiful and they really paid a lot of attention to, keeping the history and the tradition going, it's not the same. Because I remember being a little kid going to Yankee Stadium and my dad pointing down to that batter's box and saying, Babe Ruth stood in that batter's box.
Right.
Lou Gehrig stood in that batter's box. Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, on top of so many others. And that history is gone, and I'll never be able to sit in the stands with my kids and say, Babe Ruth stood in that batter's box. And I personally feel, if Fenway is still standing, and if Wrigley is still standing, why couldn't Yankee Stadium be standing too? But hey, that's just me.
So then technically you've been to 4, because Old Yankee counts as another stadium. It's a different place.
Yep, so we can add that too. Definitely to a lot of games at the old ballpark.
We've got to get you to some different ballparks, dude.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So guys, as you're watching,
unfortunately, don't get to travel much anymore.
I understand. So guys, as you're watching, don't forget to send questions that you want me to ask Dave. I'm writing them down, and hopefully we'll get to them here in the section for audience participation. But if you could, growing up, loving the Yankees and obviously your dad loved them and everything. Who is a former player or current player that you'd love to have a beer with and just sit down and chat and talk baseball with?
You know what? I'd love to sit and have a beer with Babe Ruth. I mean, come on. I mean, how much fun would that be? I mean,
yeah.
You'd probably have the time of your life going out and hanging. I mean, you'd have a lot more than a beer. But I mean, yeah, you'd have the time of your life hanging out with somebody like that back in the roaring 20s.
Oh my
man,
gosh.
I'd love it.
Yeah, it would have been a party all the time, right? And he knew.
Oh, forget about it.
He never had to buy anything. Okay, so I'm writing down questions. Let me ask you one of yours. So I guess your favorite ballpark is Old Yankee Stadium?
Yes, it definitely would be.
Okay, awesome. How did you get started on YouTube? When did all that start rolling for you, and what made you get started?
Well, the first time, I'd say it was back in 2008. I was just on YouTube looking at some random videos, and it popped into my head. I wonder if people make videos about their collections. So I just typed in baseball card collection, and the first video I watched was a D. Zolot video, because he was pretty big back then in 2008. So I watched him, and then I started watching a few other guys. It's ironic because every single guy I used to watch isn't around anymore. They're all gone. But I said to myself, that's really cool. There's a lot of guys out here, and I'm like, maybe one day I'll post something. So it was 2010, April 2010, when I made my first video, and it was grainy as hell. I had my old camcorder, and I just basically went around showing every single piece, but that's how I started.
My computer just decided not to mute anymore. Sorry. It's 1-1, by the way. He did lose the shutout.
Sorry to hear that, man.
That's all good. The Rangers absolutely suck this year. So where does Joezeppi1 come from? Where did that handle come from?
When I made my first video back in April of 2010, my son, Joe, was about 6 months old. And we, of course, know when you have a baby, it doesn't take too long before you give the baby a nickname. So the first little nickname we gave him was Joezeppi. So I'm holding him as I'm uploading my first video. And I'm trying to think of a name for my channel. And I'm like, a million things are popping in my head, different ball players' names. And I'm sitting there looking at my son, and I'm like, Joezeppi. I'm like, all right. So I put Joezeppi, and then apparently that was taken. So I said, okay. So at least the way I spelled it. So I put Joezeppi1. That wasn't taken, and that has been my channel name ever since.
What's the Zeppy part like? I get Joe as your son, but just sounded funny, or what?
It was just cute. It was just, hey, Joezeppi, my little man, So it didn't actually come from anything like, it wasn't like a cartoon character or something like that. It was just really the first nickname I ever called him, and that's pretty much the way I came up with that.
Gotcha. Okay. Are there any kind of YouTubers that you look up to and people you want to emulate and be like, I guess, or who do you respect in the collectible or YouTube world?
I respect any YouTuber with a beautiful beard. I'll tell you that's who I respect.
Well, you happen to be talking to one right now. Go figure.
I'm well aware of that. I'm well aware of that. But I mean, no, I mean, there's so many names and stuff. As far as I mean, I don't know if I can say I, idolize anyone, but there's a lot of guys out there who, their collections fascinate me. I mean, obviously, you're one of them with your, Hall of Fame autograph collection and your set registries and stuff are amazing. A guy like Bill, a Hall of Fame collector, I mean, his collection of autographs has my jaw hitting the floor. Somebody like Max Jackson, who's always showing off tobacco cards, which I love, stuff up that I'm always tuning into. And then, you got guys like Ray from Philly, working on his sets. He's got like 10,000 different set registries. So, there's a lot of different YouTubers I like for obviously many different reasons. Everybody kind of has their own little gig, and it makes it really cool.
Yeah, for sure. What about any new YouTubers? Any people you've been kind of watching and just think are doing a good job?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Caitlin, League of Their Own. Just such great knowledge of the history behind the cards, and obviously showing off the great cards and the great stories about spring training and things like that. It's funny. I've heard a couple people, actually, yourself being one of them, talking about Ryan Martin as well. And it's funny how people will talk about Ryan Martin like he's new. I've been watching Ryan Martin for like over 2 years. He just kind of started getting big and pumping out a lot of content recently. But I first started watching his videos, like I said, a couple of years ago, because I noticed he had similar style of collecting to, as I did. A lot of vintage, some oddball things that you don't see every day. Another one, a newer one that I like is Enough Said cards. You wouldn't think, I'd be, talking about all these Red Sox fans and everything, but, in the collecting hobby, we don't have those boundaries. And a guy like Enough Said, he gets a lot of that vintage oddball stuff that I really get into. So, people like that, I love, especially if they're collecting vintage and they know a lot about the history.
Bill Hoff Collector just said thanks for giving him a shout out, but his stuff's amazing.
My pleasure.
Everybody you just mentioned is fantastic. I agree with you. So that's kind of the cardboard questions. If you guys want to learn more about Joezeppi1's channel, Dave's channel, just go watch it. He's got videos going back for years. He's got an amazing YouTube channel, so I encourage you to go find it. I'll have a link below once this live stream processes and everything gets uploaded. I'll put a link to his channel below. You should definitely go check it out. So now we're going to go, Dave, a little beyond cardboard a little bit. But are you ready for that? You ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right. Tell everybody where you grew up. And
I grew up on Long Island in a town called Flanders. It's a kind of like a lower middle class, neighborhood. It was definitely had to be tough growing up there. It was kind of no joke. And then once I got a little older, my folks built a house in Hampton Bays, which was obviously a little nicer, and lived there for a while until I, moved out. And actually, when I moved out, it was with my wife, who I am with now.
Okay.
And now I live in Middle Island, which is pretty much right smack in the middle of Long Island. It stands up to its name. But I've always lived on the island my whole life.
Yeah, people think that Long Island's like this small little place. Long Island is huge, and
hell yeah.
I don't think people get how big it is.
It really is. It's true. And the traffic doesn't help either.
Yeah, I've been there several times. I love it. I played. Oh gosh, I just went blank. Beth Page.
Oh, there you go.
It was fantastic. So, all right. What do you do for a living?
I work for National Grid, which is a natural gas utility. And I do, my department does a lot of different things. We're called CMS, which is Customer Metering Services. We do everything from gas leak investigations to meter installs and things like that. But a big part of my job also is doing collections, which is literally you're walking up to somebody's door and saying, you haven't paid your gas bill, you have to pay, or I have to turn your gas off.
Really?
It's pretty hairy, doing that. Yep. But I've been doing it for years, and ironically enough, you kind of get used to it, believe it or not.
That can't be good when it's cold outside to have to go tell people they're going to shut your gas off.
From actually the beginning of November to the beginning of April, we're actually only allowed to turn off commercial businesses. We're not allowed to shut off people's homes because obviously, you can freeze to death. But once April hits, for example, right now, it's all a go. So, but it's like I said, it can be hairy. I only had one person pull a gun on me in the whole time I've been working here.
Wow.
That was entertaining. But it's funny. You'll be in some of these rough areas, and you think you deal with a lot of stuff, but all you got to do is just treat people with respect, but don't look like they're going to be able to get one over on you. Don't look like you're going to back down. You got to stand your ground and stuff, but treat people with respect too. And most of the time it works, and it also helps when you're a big, ugly guy with a shaved head and a goatee. That don't hurt you. But.
Right. Well, tell everybody about Joy. How long have you guys been married?
Well, we've been together over 11 years, but we've been married 4 of those years.
Okay. Here's your family. I'll show a picture of them. You definitely married up. What's up? What's all that all about? What was she thinking?
I was slightly better looking back in the day.
Man, but I got your kids here too. Tell them about your kids.
Yeah, so that's my son Joe in the middle. He's 8, and that's my daughter Angelina on the right. And I'm telling you, I gave my daughter the best nickname any dude has ever given his daughter. And her nickname is Hoagie. Yes, named after a sandwich. So the way that actually happened was she was literally like a year old, maybe like a year and a half, and she's sitting in one of those like bumbo chairs, whatever those things are called, on the table while my wife and I are eating. Now I went to the deli, brought home a couple egg sandwiches. Now my daughter never wanted baby food. Even when she was a baby, she didn't want baby food. She just wanted
food,
people food, grown-up food. So my wife literally takes half an egg sandwich, eggs and sausage and everything on a roll, and she hands it to my daughter. Now, like a 1.5-year-old, that thing looks like a 12-inch hero. And she actually is opening it and she's eating it. And I said to her, "Wow, you're making short work of that, Hoagie." And I've called her Hoagie ever since. And people think, especially in the store, when I'm like, "Hoagie, come here," people think it's hilarious.
Here's another cute picture of Joe. Little Joe. Wearing his Jack Dempsey t-shirt, I see.
Yes, he is. Actually, what the funny story is? I had got a Dempsey t-shirt online a while back. I ordered some like Rocky shirts and stuff, and I bought a Jack Dempsey shirt. So my wife, to be funny, made a Jack Dempsey shirt for my son and for my daughter. My daughter's was made out of like these little rhinestones or diamonds or something. It looked like it was bedazzled, but it said Dempsey on it. So he had his little Dempsey shirt with the cut-off sleeves, and
that's awesome.
It was too cute.
Very cool. Are you turning them into Yankees fans? I mean, are you trying to curse your whole family or what? Come on. I guess.
Hey.
Yeah,
really?
I'm just kidding. What does Joy think about your obsession, your collection, your hobby?
Very supportive. Very supportive. I mean, in all reality, collecting came with the territory because I was collecting way before. Like I said, we've been together 11 years, but I've been collecting for around 15 years. So when she met me, she knew about the collecting. So it kind of came with the territory, but I've always been very supportive. I've never had to hear that speech about, "Oh, you're spending too much on cards, or you're spending too much on this." So I never had any problems with that. She's always, enjoyed it. I've brought her to a lot. I used to go to a lot of public signings at, like Steiner stores or other places, and she used to go to almost all the signings with me, actually made a video some time back showing all the photos of all the public signings I'd gone to meet, baseball greats, boxing greats, and such. And she's pretty much in just about every picture with me.
That's cool. I mean, you always want somebody to kind of go along for the ride, or at least be supportive and not busting your chops about it. That's good.
Yeah, because that would, it takes away from it, if you got to be, you're going out and sneak into the card shop or something. I don't have time for that stuff. So it's definitely better when you don't have to worry about that kind of thing.
Definitely. Do you have any little secret talents or interesting facts about you that you could tell everybody they wouldn't know?
Just not really. I really don't have any talents. I don't possess any skills or anything like that. I can't sing. I can't dance. That's about it. I wish I had some better stories for you, but I really can't think of any talent that would be worth even discussing.
No problem. What'd you do when you were younger? Did you play sports when you were a kid?
I did. Obviously I played Little League, because, everybody played Little League. And I was not the best hitter. I was like average, but I was a great center fielder.
Okay.
I wasn't, it's ironic too, because I wasn't the fastest kid, but I could run down a fly ball Willie Mays style. I mean, I could just see it coming off the bat, and I knew exactly where it was going to go, and I felt like I could run down anything when I was a kid. And actually, football was one of my favorite games to play too. And I didn't play football for any school teams or anything like that, but we used to play in the street like literally every day after school and on the weekends. You'd go out in the street, there'd always be at least one kid there waiting with a football. And we actually spray painted lines in the street and everything like that. The yard lines and guys, I love playing football so much.
Awesome. But didn't you? I think I have something here that shows another hobby you had when you were younger.
Oh yes, too. Between the age of 9 and 15, I was actually taking karate. Yeah, I started when I was about 9 years old. I took Taekwondo, and I actually got my black belt when I was 15. And that's pretty much when I'd reached that plateau, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm done. So I gave it up. I never really got back into it or anything, although I should, because it'd probably get me in better shape. But, that was a big part of my childhood, and I still do have my black belt down in the basement.
So some people are making some good comments. Can you do sand to floor and paint the fence and wax on, wax off? Can you do all that stuff?
Oh yeah, forget about it. I'll wax the car up, paint the fence real good. Give Johnny Lawrence the crane kick.
Did you hear they're doing like a sequel or something, like a new series?
Oh my God, my sister sent me a link to that like the day that trailer came out, and I was dying. I'm like, oh my God. And then of course, like 5 minutes after that, everybody's like, did you see that trailer for the new Karate Kid? I'm like, yep.
Oh my gosh, I can't decide if it's going to be any good or not, but.
But that movie was, oh my God, when I was a kid, man, that movie was huge.
For sure.
We used to love that movie. Forget about it.
I'm getting some good questions for you, so just don't sweep the leg, okay? But you could still kick my ass. Plus, I'm old and fat, so.
No mercy.
No mercy. Did you have any other hobbies growing up besides cards, or what?
I got into different things at different times in my life. Obviously there was a period of time in my life where I was all about video games. I remember when I got my first Nintendo, I didn't want to leave the house. I was sitting there playing Super Mario Brothers all day, and I was always into video games as a kid, but who wasn't back then? Really, as far as collecting goes, I never really got into collecting anything except for, baseball cards and sports memorabilia.
Okay, that's cool. We're getting some really good questions. All right, now, here's my last question for you on the Beyond Cardboard stuff. Besides the Rocky theme song, if you could walk around, because you can't say Rocky. Everybody's already, and I know you would choose Rocky, but if you could walk around with another theme song, what would it be?
Probably I Feel Pretty, from like West Side Story. Maybe a little Wake Me Up Before You Go.
Wham, wham, wham.
Sound of Music, stuff like that. Can't you just picture me cruising down the street to one of those?
Those are very macho choices. I think those are great. In fact, I may actually change my choice to one of those based on your recommendation. So, oh gosh, you're killing me. How about some questions from our audience? Are you ready?
Yeah, why the hell not?
All right,
Let's see what everybody's got.
I'm going to do these kind of randomly. I think it'd be a great. Some people are wanting to. Yeah, your man card's going to have to be turned in, by the way, when we're done. But some people are asking about the Ted Williams watch. They've obviously seen that in several videos, including you wearing it to Ray from Philly's house. But tell everybody the Ted Williams watch story. That's a great story.
Okay, so basically, when you saw, like I said, I love oddball things, personally owned items, and I happened to be looking up Ted Williams personally owned items that were up for auction, and I see that watch, and I saw that it came with a letter of provenance from Hunt Auctions, who did the auction back in 2012, and all those letters of provenance were signed by Ted Williams' daughter, Claudia Williams. And this lot happened to come with a photo of Ted Williams wearing the watch. So I'm like, God, that is awesome, man. I was like, as long as the bidding doesn't go too high, I said, I want this. And I ended up winning it. And then it became, do I wear it or do I display it? And I started asking friends, I started asking family. I'm like, all right, I need a consensus on this thing. What do you guys think I should do? And I had a lot of people say, you know what, man, if you could get a battery in that thing, it would be so badass if you just wore that around and said, hey, I'm wearing Ted Williams' watch. So I ended up bringing it to, everybody's telling me, I'm like, should I go to a jeweler or something? They're like, nah, go to Walmart. It'll save you money. I'm like, all right. So I go to Walmart. And, this is like 18-year-old kid behind the counter. And I said, hey, do you have a battery for this? He looks up the sizing thing, and apparently they didn't make that anymore, but he found a battery that worked in it. So pretty much as soon as he's done, I said, by the way, you a baseball fan? He's like, a little bit. I said, do you know who Ted Williams is? And he's like, no. I'm like, Jesus Christ. He's like, how can an American kid not have ever heard of Ted Williams? It blew my mind. I said, all right. I said, yeah, I tell you what, just tell your dad that you worked on a watch that was owned by Ted Williams. And he says to me, he's like, oh, I kind of wish you didn't tell me that. Now I'm like a little nervous. I said, well, I waited until you were done. But so I got the battery in it, and I set up the time and the date and all that stuff, and I wear it when I go out. And I tell you what, if I'm around anybody who has any love for baseball, it's a great conversation piece. It's just so cool saying to myself that Ted Williams, could possibly be considered the greatest hitter of all time, was wearing this watch, and now I'm wearing it, and that's just so badass.
What kind of watch is it?
It's a Casio.
Okay.
It's like a, it's not a Rolex, obviously. It's a digital watch, but it's a Casio lithium. It's got a little picture of a snorkeler on it. So it's water resistant and everything. But it's, like I said, it's Ted Williams. It's like, it's amazing to me.
Yeah, it could be a Hello Kitty watch.
Right? You wouldn't think I'd be, that'd be great.
I'd still wear it.
You wouldn't think I'd be such a Ted Williams fan, growing up a Yankees fan, but I always had this love for Ted Williams and this great respect. I remember sitting in my living room with my dad. My dad has this old baseball encyclopedia from like the early 70s.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I used to sit there and just look through stats, and seeing Ted Williams' stats just always amazed me. And I just thought he was one of the greatest, and and all that. So he's always been one of my favorites, still is to this day.
He is one of the greatest. I agree. Are you going to be making your way to, and I know the answer to part of this question, but are you going to be making it to the 2018 or 2019 National?
I wish. Where is 2019 anyway? I don't even know where that one's going to be.
Chicago.
Yeah, no, I'm probably gonna have to wait for the Atlantic City. Basically, anywhere overnight, I really wouldn't be able to do. With my son being severely autistic and everything, I just and it can be really tough for my family. So I just can't leave my wife here that long, kind of fending for herself, with that, even though she does a great job, obviously. But, a day trip I can do. For example, I just went to visit Ray from Philly, which was awesome. But it was a situation where I left in the morning, hung out with him for a while, left there in the afternoon, came back here at night. But as far as overnight trips, I really can't do. But trust me, I would love to go to a Nationals one day. I might be going to the White Plains show that is coming up in the summer as well, because that's something I could pull off in a day. So that might happen. I've heard a lot of YouTube guys will be going up to that. Guys like Myko, Ray, Silver Jack of Ice, stuff like that. So that one I might try to make.
Awesome. All right. What is your favorite set of all time?
I gotta say the T206 set. To me, that is just such a beautiful set. And despite, set aside the Honus Wagner and stuff like that, but just the cards from that set have always just amazed me, the way they look. And my first time going to Cooperstown, I picked up my first T206 card. That was my T206 Miller Huggins portrait. And, of course, being a Yankees fan, and he was the first manager of the first real Yankee dynasty, with Ruth and Gehrig and stuff like that, Murderers Row. And I just remember picking that up. And anybody who's been to Cooperstown knows that Main Street is lined with memorabilia shops.
Yeah,
it's like
awesome.
heaven. And getting that first tobacco card, and that was also my first ever slab card, slab by PSA.
Okay.
And I was just walking around with this thing like, oh my God, I was so amazed that I had a card that was this old, and I just fell in love with that set.
What grade is that card?
Only a 2.
Have you shown that?
Nice looking 2.
Have you shown that in a video?
Yes, actually, I shown it a couple, but I actually gave it its own video, probably about a year ago. And I believe the title of the video was, This Card Will Always Remind Me of Cooperstown. And I made a video just talking about me picking that card up. So, yeah, that one's out there. I think it was like a year or so, maybe a little more, that I made that video.
Was, you talked about going to see Ray, which the videos you did of that were just great and hilarious. Was that your first YouTuber to ever meet in person?
It was, and it was really cool. I talked to Ray and stuff. Ray knows that I'm a huge, ridiculous Rocky fan. I've been to Philly quite a few times, and anytime I go there, I have to run up the Rocky Steps, and I also like to go and check out some of the filming locations. So I was talking to Ray, and I, not for nothing, I said, I'm kind of missing Philly. I said, I really need a cheesesteak in my system. I said, I really need to run up them steps. And I said, we should meet up. And he was like, yeah. He said, I live about 20, 25 minutes west of Philly. They gave me his address, and we set it up. And like I said, I went there Sunday because last week I was on vacation, so it was nice at the start of my vacation. And left at the crack of an ass, headed out there, and we had a great day. It was a lot of fun. We went to like Mighty Mick's gym and Rocky's apartment, and of course we went to the steps and stuff. Had a little Ray running around with us, and it was a great time. But yes, that was the first YouTuber that I've met in person.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting a whole bunch of YouTubers at the National. Sorry you won't be there to join us, my friend, but so...
Yeah, me too.
Are you an Islanders guy or a Rangers guy?
You know what? I gotta be honest, I was never really a fan of hockey. I don't even think I ever watched a full hockey game in my life, to be honest with you. And as far as basketball, I was a Knicks fan for the longest. I probably stopped watching, I think around the time I graduated high school is when I kind of stopped watching basketball. Kind of because I got away from my friends who were into basketball, and I just never really got back into it. So it's pretty much Just a little baseball, a little bit of football. It's pretty much all the only sports I watch these days.
Jets or Giants?
Giants.
Okay. So then we really hate each other.
Out here in New York, we make fun of the Jets fans.
Dang it. I tell you, I can't believe we're friends because I hate the Giants and I hate the Yankees. So, but oh well. See, that's what you said. Cardboard overcomes all biases because it's different, right?
Of course. And I've gotten so used to that. I mean, hating the Yankees just is like a cottage industry, most people do, but if you grow up in New York, you got the Yankees or the Mets, unless you want to root for out-of-town teams and stuff like that.
Right.
And of course, there's the rivalry. I happen to be friends with a couple of Mets fans, and I actually work with way too many Mets fans, so it gets a pain in the ass when they're doing really good. But yeah, like I said, if you live in New York, having the Yankees right there in the Bronx, and especially if you're the kind of person who has a true appreciation for the history of the game, you can't hate the Yankees because the Yankees have the best history of any team. They truly do.
They do. I didn't say I didn't respect the Yankees. There's difference. I do really genuinely respect all of the history of the game, which is why I love going to ballparks so much and seeing all that. But next question: do you consider yourself a card collector or a memorabilia collector?
That's a tough one. I'd say I really can't put myself into one category because I'm looking around right now. I kind of have an equal amount of both, but I'd say if I was going to say one or the other, I'd have to go with cards and that's ironic too, because you'd think more people would be into autographs because an autograph is something that person held in their hand, as opposed to a card that they probably never held in their hand. But cards truly bring me back to my childhood. When I was 7 years old, I wasn't collecting autographs. I was collecting cards. So cards bring me back to my childhood, where autographs, just as much as the history brings me back, the autographs kind of just bring me back to when I started collecting as an adult.
Right. Okay, so some people are asking, who's your favorite wrestler? Is it Thunder Lips or what?
Good old Thunder Lips, the ultimate male. Actually, my favorite wrestler of all time was Bret the Hitman Hart.
Okay.
He was my man back in the day. And like I said, I used to catch a lot of flack from my friends, dudes used to make fun of me for liking him, but Bret Hart was my boy. I was watching wrestling from when I was a little kid, and I kind of stopped watching wrestling, I guess around the age of like 17. Around like 97, 98 is when I stopped watching wrestling. Never really got back into it, but yeah, Bret Hart, that was my man right there.
Cool. Are you currently collecting any sets?
I am.
What are you working on?
Well, I've been kind of keeping it on the low. I've been collecting a vintage set for the last 2 years.
Oh, do tell.
Probably gonna be another year or so before I finish it. And it's funny because when I started doing it, I kind of thought about maybe doing little update videos on it, like every time I got a Hall of Famer, or every time I hit a milestone, like the first 100 cards or something. But I decided, you know what, I'm just going to kind of do this behind the scenes, and then when I finally put the whole thing together, I'll just make a big video with everything. So you guys are going to have to hold on with that one because I'm still keeping that one on the low. Fair
enough. Dang it. Well, that you can tell me off air. How about that?
I'll tell you. I'm only going to tell you because of the beard. That's the only reason. If you didn't have the beard, I wouldn't tell you anything.
It has an amazing effect on people, getting them to tell me things.
I'm telling you, it really does. I go from 6 to midnight every time I see it.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. I'm gonna just gloss over that. Okay. So let's see. Last question. Do you have any advice for any kind of new YouTubers that are mainly just watch content now and maybe they want to start making videos but are nervous? Do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, my advice would be don't take my advice because You know what? To be honest with you, I mean, if you look at my videos are low budget as hell. You know, and there's so many YouTubers now doing this. I mean, the stuff Snoop is doing with these videos he's putting out is amazing.
Around the hobby.
Videos look so professional. Yeah, around the hobby, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, the stuff Caitlin's doing. You know, and there's so many. I mean, even just a guy like Jay McGillicuddy or Ray from Philly, or yourself, who do like the nice title screens. I don't do anything. I basically take my phone out, do a video quick. Well, you know, while nobody's making noise, and I upload it. But the editing people are doing is amazing. So I'd say new YouTubers, if you want to keep up with the way things are starting to go, because a person like me is gonna, I really don't have time to even learn how to do that. So a person like me is gonna kind of fade out, where these newer YouTubers are just really paving a brand new path. Their videos are looking so professional. So I'd say to anybody new, start talking to these people. Learn how to do this editing and make these videos with the music and just these cool shots and all the stuff. They're really amazing, the stuff they're doing these days.
Yeah, I would add to that. Really, you know, I agree with you, but at the same time, you could say, look, just make content. At the end of the day, if you have good stuff, and just make content and be yourself. That's the biggest thing I can tell people when they ask me is just be yourself. Kevin O'Neill was asking, is it worth the money you make? We don't make, very few of us, you have to have 1,000 subs to monetize your channel, as well as 240,000 minutes of watch time in the last year, which none of us, with the exception of just a few channels, are doing that. And even then, it's not as much money as you think. I think in 10 months I made like $112. So you don't do it for the money.
You know me, I am far from it. I don't even have 500 subs. You know, I am far from ever even thinking of monetizing or anything like that. You know, that's way beyond. I don't even know if I'd ever get up to that level. You know,
right.
That's beyond me.
But you are a YouTube Hall of Famer. Congrats, by the way, on that.
Appreciate that.
So, all right, you ready for some rapid fire?
Ooh, now I'm getting nervous.
Now you're getting nervous. So, we'll get some rapid fire going. Here we go. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Favorite pizza topping?
Pepperoni.
New York or Chicago style?
Really? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, really? I got to even answer that one?
No. Favorite ice cream flavor?
Favorite ice cream flavor? Ben & Jerry's makes a flavor called the Tonight Dough. Like the Tonight Show.
Okay.
Oh my God, this stuff is like crack. I'll be itching in the street to get me a bucket of that stuff. That Tonight Dough, baby, that's the best ice cream ever.
What's in it?
Big ass chunks of like chocolate chip cookie dough, peanut butter cookie dough, and it's mixed with like caramel and chocolate ice cream. It sounds like a stoner's paradise, but it is delicious, I'm telling you. Best ice cream flavor.
Favorite Philly cheesesteak shop?
I'm gonna have to go with Geno's. I've been to three of the big ones now. I've been to Pat's, I've been to Geno's, and I've been to Jim's. Jim's was with Ray from Philly, but I gotta say Geno's was my favorite.
Okay. Mustard or ketchup on your hot dog?
Mustard.
Correct answer.
A lot of mustard.
How do you use deli style or yellow mustard?
Deli style.
Okay.
You know, the brown.
The brown, yep.
Yeah.
How do you drink your coffee? Are you creamer or black?
Just sugar. No cream, no milk, just sugar.
We already determined you're not a good dancer because you said you hate to dance, right?
Dude, I am the whitest dancer you will ever see in your life. I am horrible. But you know what the worst thing about me is? If I'm drunk enough, I think I can dance. And that's when you get a show.
Now that would be funny to watch you think you can dance.
Oh, God. It's been a while since I've been that drunk and been in the vicinity of a dance floor. But, yeah, it's a mess.
I see some future national, the next Atlantic City National, we all got to get Dave drunk and see him dancing. That would be pretty fun. What's your favorite board game?
Favorite board game? I don't even know if you'd consider this a board game, but when I was a kid, my favorite was Connect Four. Remember Connect Four?
Sure, that would, I think, qualify. It's not on a board, but it is a game that we played as
And plus,
kids.
somebody had to not say Monopoly.
Okay.
Because that's what everybody, I think, was saying.
Yeah, that's Monopoly's my favorite. Are you a beer?
Yeah, Connect Four was my thing.
Do you like beer or hard liquor?
It depends on what mood I'm in. As far as beer goes, I'm usually, have something like Bud Light or something. If it's liquor, I need some Tennessee Fire.
Okay.
That's my go-to liquor. That's when you see some dancing.
All right. Somebody make a note of that so we remember for the next Atlantic City National. But besides Rocky, what's your favorite movie franchise?
Besides Rocky, I'd have to go with The Godfather.
Okay.
I love, especially, 1 and 2. 3 kind of don't count. But me and my dad, you put us in a room, we could sit there and quote Godfather 1 and 2, both movies, the entire thing.
Yeah, I just watched it again a couple of weeks ago. Just random. It was on Netflix, and I thought, oh, I'll watch this. And it's just fantastic.
Oh, forget about it.
What's your favorite sport to play?
I'd have to go with football.
And what's your favorite sport to watch?
That used to be such an easy question. I used to be able to just say baseball, but over the years, I just, baseball with me is just kind of slowly not, fading. It's not as important to me. I actually watched more football last season than I have baseball so far this season.
College or pro?
Oh, pro.
Pro, okay. I thought you told me earlier that your favorite sport to watch was underwater tiddlywinks. What's that?
Well, that too. Also badminton, curling. Like with the stone and the ice and stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Bocce. Watch the old Italian guys throwing that ball over there. Shit. That's a rush right there.
Do you like high lie and all that? Okay. What was your first car?
My first car was a 1990 Chevy Cavalier. And yes, that is as sexy as it sounds.
Not one person that I've asked that question to has had a cool car when they were their first car.
No, that was not. That was not a Corvette.
What's your favorite chick flick?
Favorite chick flick? When Harry Met Sally. I don't care what anybody says. That is an awesome movie.
Dude, you're not supposed to have a favorite chick flick.
You know what? I'm man enough to say that I have a favorite chick flick. When Harry Met Sally is a good movie right there.
Fair enough. And that's the end of our rapid fire segment. So, Dave, man, I really appreciate you being on tonight. Believe it or not, it's been 58 minutes that we've been talking. So, a lot of people have stuck around and watched us. Do you have anything you want to say to everybody?
It's hard to believe.
I know, I'm telling you. So, do you have anything you want to tell everybody before we let you go?
Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. And Mike, thanks for having me on your show, man. It's been awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
You're so welcome. Thanks for pinch hitting for Jason, Mr. Fisterbike, on short notice. I had you on the schedule, but later, and I had to move you up, so I appreciate that. Everybody tune in next week. We'll do another show, probably at an earlier time, most likely around 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern, barring some fiasco with schedules, but that's the plan for next week. So I really appreciate everybody tuning in and watching. Everybody have a great night, great week, and keep collecting.